Sorry, you can probably tell I'm a little bit annoyed in this video. But as a grieving mom, I've been confronted with a huge amount of things that people have said to me that get under my skin and annoy me. But most of those I can kind of shrug off. But there is one thing that absolutely drives me crazy, and I'm going to talk about that today. Stay tuned. There is this harsh reality that seems to permeate our culture when it comes to grief. And that is the idea that people think that grievers should just move on super quickly and stop talking about the person that they lost. Mostly they think this way because a lot of times you talking about the person that you lost makes them feel uncomfortable.
You're making me uncomfortable.
So I actually just had this experience in a very recent conversation that I kind of almost couldn't believe. I was told to get over it and to move on and to stop talking about my daughter, as if her life was like the chapter of a book. I could just turn the page or close the book and be done talking about her.
Are you freaking kidding me?
This perspective of grief is not just completely wrong, but it is painful for people. It's basically suggesting that our loved ones can just be forgotten or tucked away neatly into nice little corners of our past. But if you have ever really grieved, you know that grief is not like that. It demands to be felt and demands to be acknowledged. Talking about my daughter isn't just a way to remember her. It is actually healing for me. Every story or memory that I share about her isn't just for the benefit of my own heart, but a benefit for the world that she lived in. And me, by telling these stories and sharing these memories, it's my way of asserting that she lived. She was a part of my life and that she mattered. And boy, did she ever matter. And I'm sure that you feel the same way about the person that you've lost. They mattered. We want to talk about them. We want to remind people that they were in the world and that we loved them. Sharing memories of our loved ones helps us to kind of disperse the weight of our grief. It helps lighten the load a bit and remind us that our grief is real and our feelings are valid and they should be recognized by others.
Those feelings were real.
A lot of people think when we are sharing stories of the people that we lost that somehow we are searching for sympathy, but that couldn't be further from the truth. What we are actually doing when we share our stories, we don't want a pity party. We are trying to build bridges between our past and our present. And we're trying to keep that person a part of our lives. Obviously, it's going to be a different part than what they previously were, but we don't want to let them go. The healthy thing is to carry that person into our future in a different way. And talking about our person and sharing those memories is one way of doing that. I know when I tell stories about my daughter, I'm trying to continue the influence that she had in my life and in other people's lives. And I am trying to touch lives and help other people's futures by sharing the stories about my daughter with them. But the problem a lot of times is, like the person who made that comment to me, dealing with grieving people sharing stories about the person that they lost, it's not that those people really have anything against you doing that. They're not worried about you. They are worried about themselves because it makes them feel uncomfortable. The person who said that to me, I know for a fact, is uncomfortable dealing with loss. And when I share stories about my daughter, when I bring up her name and when I talk about her, that person's reaction is to shut down. They don't want to hear it because they don't want to think about the loss. But if that's how you feel, you should really never say that to a grieving person, because the grieving person needs to share stories and talk about their person as part of their healing process. As a society, we really need to do a better job of making it less taboo to talk about grief and to talk about sadness and to talk about how much we freaking miss the people that we lost.
We have to do better.
So for the people that we're talking to, it means actually listening and actually encouraging people to speak and realizing that grief doesn't come with an expiration date. Just like our person was on the earth for the amount of time that we have them, they are going to be in our memories for the amount of time that we have left. And it is okay to talk about them because they were here and they were huge parts of our life. So for anyone who has dealt with something like I just dealt with, I want to encourage you to shout your stories from the freaking rooftops. Talk about your person as much as you want. Don't ever silence yourself because someone else is uncomfortable dealing with your grief. The nicest way I can think to put this on YouTube is screw those people.
Screw them.
And if you know someone who is mourning, no matter how long it has been, then listen to them. Share stories of their person if you have them. Acknowledge that grief isn't something that you can just snap your fingers and make it go away. Because the truth is, people who loved the person that they lost don't want the memories of that person to go away. We want to keep those memories and remember that person. And even though we might be struggling or maybe even crying while we are telling those stories in the early days, eventually it will get to a point where those stories can be told with laughter and joy and smiles. But it won't get to that point if people keep saying things like, can you move on already? Oh, do you have to keep bringing her up? Why do you always talk about grief? Sorry, you can probably tell I'm a little bit annoyed in this video, but it's really been bugging me. And I hope this was helpful. If you are someone who's grieving and you've heard something like that, I am so sorry. It's not you, it's them. So don't even worry about it. Like I said, keep on talking about your people. If you've had any experiences like this, I would love to hear them in the comments. Share so, like always, we know that we are not alone. We have a great community here, and I always love to hear what people say. If you have any video suggestions or things that you'd like me to talk about in the future, I am always open to those, so feel free to leave those in the comments as well. And I'm usually pretty quick about turning it around and answering your questions in a video if I can do so. As always, I am sending love and hugs. Have a great week, guys. Bye-bye.